We are meant to learn by doing, not studying, not here's some sauce, go figure it out. No, like, you are supposed to learn by doing. Let me ask you a question. When you first had your child and you gave them the boob or the bottle, the first time they didn't know how to latch on. When they sucked their lip, I don't like that. This is annoying. Why I gotta, I don't want that. They didn't understand how to do it. They wasn't born, like, yes, they had the tools. They had the tools to understand and pick it up and know what to do. But they didn't come out the womb knowing what to do. They had the urge to try, and they learn by doing. If I do it this way, if I put my tongue this way, if I suck my cheeks this way, if mommy gotta learn, okay, I gotta put my boob this way, or daddy, I gotta heat the bottle up like this, and I have to test it on the back of my hand this way, so I know that when I put this bottle in my daughter's mouth or my son's mouth, that it's not gonna burn the living hell out of their tongue. What's up? You learned by doing and seeing the consequences of your actions and switching it completely up because you don't want to mess it up. What's good, y'all? Welcome back to Live Like Low. I'm out here on my porch, you feel me? So I was thinking, I haven't seen a lot of videos on spiritual parenting. So I thought it'd be cool for me to just come out on my porch, be all Southern Belle with you guys, you know what I'm saying? And give y'all some tea. So I feel like if you are a parent in this spiritual life, you feel me? Like, what I want to kind of convey to you guys is a couple points. So I feel like the first tip that I have for you is to realize that your children are of you, right? So I feel like that's kind of like an obvious thing, but it's really not obvious when you think about it. Like, if your child is of you, right? They are also of spirit, and they have their own reasons for coming to this planet. They have their own reasons for having a life here, but they also are of you. So they are also a direct reflection of you. They are a whole embodiment in the 3D, 4D version of you for pretty much the majority of their life that they spend with you before they go out and discover who they actually are. Right? So during this time where they're kind of understanding the difference between mommy and daddy and me, and I'm not them, but I'm me, during that time, they are 100% reflecting back to you who you are, and they're going to show you all of your faults, all of your weaknesses, all of the things that you said you worked on but you really didn't, all of this stuff that you said didn't bother you but it did, all of the things that you didn't even realize were like a construct that you should have been worried about or you should have been working on because it's just something that is just you but it's really not. Yeah. And I say this because a lot of people, even like my daughter, she's 4. And so when she comes to me and she talks to me about some of these things, it kind of like, it takes me off guard because she's a child. But I cannot degrade her as being a child for her being any less correct than she is. Because what she's telling me is what she is understood from spirit. Spirit has given her the word to speak to me. Because children perceive spirit more and better than a lot of adults. So if your child is perceiving spirit, and even though a child doesn't say spirit told me to say, a child will say, mommy, why do you do this? Or a child will mimic your negative talk. Or they will mimic whatever it is that source is trying to show you. You need to work on that so that that thing doesn't become ingrained in your child. And so that you can work on that generational trauma before it gets embedded in your kids. And before they embed that shit into their own kids, right? So that is like the very first thing I want you guys to understand is that literally When you're parenting, your child is your teacher. Welcome to the stage, okay? Your child is your teacher, and you should never belittle your child because you think that you are greater, you are above them. You are not greater or above any fucking thing. You are, just because you have been on the planet longer doesn't mean shit. Okay? It just doesn't. Why am I cussing? Because I want y'all to know how fucking serious this shit is. Spirit was like, these motherfuckers out here be thinking that I send them messages through their kids and they don't even be fucking listening. Because they think that their children are just children. Where do you think children come from? Why do you think small children under the age of 10 can tell you all about yourself without actually telling you about yourself in a way that they can barely be able to communicate some shit about you when they don't even have a full understanding of you, but they know how to show you what you need to work on? That doesn't come about any kind of way. So take heed on that. If your kids show you something or they tell you something, take that shit to heart and do something about it. Okay? I know that was kind of deep, and I hope, I hope it stung so you actually do something, but, let's move on. I want to talk to you guys about allowing your children to express their emotions, right? It's something that as a child, I know for a fact, like I did not feel comfortable, and I wouldn't say I wasn't allowed, but it was frowned upon, I would say, like if I had too strong of an emotional reaction. And so what I want to tell you guys is what that ends up doing to your kids if you judge them when they're having an emotional reaction and you're not there for them, you're not there giving them compassion, you're not there being a conscious being, understanding that this child has a limited understanding of the constructs of our world. Yes, they might have just scraped their knee and there is no blood and there is no break, there is nothing physically hurting, there's nothing physically wrong. They do not understand the concept of pain. And so when they feel a greater pain than they've ever felt, they're going to cry. They're going to be hysterical. When someone hurts their feelings, and even though it's something very small, they have to learn to speak up for themselves. But before they can do that, they're going to cry about it. They're going to be like, why do people treat me like that? They're going to try to overcompensate. And it's your job to be compassionate for them. It's your job to show them how to go through these things in a healthy way because you've dealt with your trauma, so you know exactly what to do. And then you help your child. You help your child in a loving and a compassionate way. You don't beat them because they're getting on your nerves. You have to show them the way. No generation after you is going to get better if you're not getting better. If you're not changing the way that you see. Some people, they parent like their parents parent, but then they be complaining about how their parents parented them. So why you gonna go and parent your children the same way? That makes absolutely no sense. That's literally a dog chasing its tail. You're complaining about why I keep going around in circles and I'm not moving forward, but you continue to chase your tail. What the hell? Stop. Go chase the ball or some shit, right? So that is one of the things I feel like that's something that's like really key for real. Like being able to facilitate your child's emotions and being able to be like, it's okay that you feel that way, but it's not okay to throw things. It's okay for you to have an emotional reaction, but it's not okay for you to hit people or bite people because you're upset. It's okay for you to have this emotional reaction and cry, but it's not okay to follow me around to try to manipulate me into doing something that you want me to do because I'm a person. And just like I'm a person and you're a person, you need to respect that. So if you need to have your emotions, if you need to have this emotional breakdown, if you need to have this tantrum, you can go to your room and experience your emotions. And when you're ready to talk about it, you can come out and we're going to talk about it. We're going to sit down and I'm going to be vulnerable with you, just like how you're going to be vulnerable with me. And I'm going to open my heart and give you love. And you're going to open your heart and give me whatever is making you hurt. Right? And I'm not going to judge you for that. I'm going to teach you how this thing logically can happen for you, how you can manifest this thing into your life instead of crying about what you don't have. Because the more you cry about what you don't have, you will continue not to have it. But if you start speaking it into existence, watch the universe provide for you. Whether it is if I myself go out and buy it, or your dad thought about you when he wasn't even here to hear anything that we're saying right now, and he goes out and buy it, or somebody slides by the house who has exactly what you want and decides to give it to you even though they bought it for themselves, which happens pretty often with my child because she has learned how to manifest. And so you need to learn how to do certain things, how to understand certain things so that you can teach your children, so that they can understand how the universe works and they can understand how God hears them and supplies their want and supplies their need. Okay, so now I just got one more for y'all. So understand that your children learn through play, right? Understand that your children learn through play. So like, I don't know if you're a stay-at-home mom, if you work and you come home, if you're a dad who stays home, or if you're a dad who goes out and work and you're home, whatever, right? And it's like, sometimes you get tired, okay? Tired as hell, okay? You be so tired. You be like, ooh, leave me alone for a minute. Let me go chill. Why are you making all that noise? This and that, because you're irritable. But the one thing you never, ever, 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 ever want to do is tell your child in any shape, way, or form that their imagination, that their time to play and explore what they've learned and practice, and that whatever they decide to invest their time into that matters to them is unimportant. Because what your child is doing is they are applying what they've learned, whether that's at school or whether that's at home, because children learn through play and adults learn through play too. Did you know? Like, we are meant to learn by doing, not studying, not here's some sauce, go figure it out. No, like, you are supposed to learn by doing. Let me ask you a question. When you first had your child and you gave them the boob or the bottle, the first time they didn't know how to latch on. When they sucked their lip, I don't like that. This is annoying. Why I gotta, I don't want that. They didn't understand how to do it. They wasn't born, like, yes, they had the tools. They had the tools to understand and pick it up and know what to do. But they didn't come out the womb knowing what to do. They had the urge to try, and they learn by doing. If I do it this way, if I put my tongue this way, if I suck my cheeks this way, if mommy gotta learn, okay, I gotta put my boob this way, or daddy, I gotta heat the bottle up like this, and I have to test it on the back of my hand this way, so I know that when I put this bottle in my daughter's mouth or my son's mouth, that it's not gonna burn the living hell out of their tongue. What's up? You learned by doing and seeing the consequences of your actions and switching it completely up because you don't want to mess it up. So what's stopping you from seeing the same thing that's happening in an older child? Now, I'm going to bring it full circle for you, because some of y'all want to just be like, oh yeah, it was like that when they was little kids. But what happened when they teenagers? When they got that snap back, right? And your child is like, well, you A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and you be telling me to do this, but you don't do none of this. As a matter of fact, you be judging me about what I'm doing, but you won't even change yourself. Can we hear it in the back? What do your kids be telling you about yourself? You may not like the way they say it, but it doesn't make them any less right. Right? I was listening to this T.D. Jakes sermon that was like, Abraham's wife got mad and she chomped him off, even though She said it wrong. She wasn't in a place of a nurturing place or an understanding place or a place of loving. She wasn't coming from a place of vulnerability. She was coming from a place, I'm about to cut your throat if you don't fix it. So the message wasn't delivered the way that you would like it, but the message was delivered because it was right, because you needed to fix it. And a lot of the times, these messages come to you through multiple people. It's not just your kids. The problem is you just don't like hearing it from your kids. Don't like hearing it from your kids, do you? Let me tell you something else. Stop judging your kids for being little horny people. Hormones. Come on. Stop denying that they are a sexual being. It's so weird because people like shame their kids when they masturbate, but that's like the weirdest thing to me, because if a child is masturbating, then they're not going out and putting themselves in negative situations, trying to experiment with their bodies, putting their sovereignty in someone else's hands. They're putting it in their own hands. They're experimenting with their body and learning their body through their own hands. If anything, you should encourage that. It's weird. It's odd. It's terrible to do laundry. Make them do their own laundry. But the point is that they should know their own body before they go around letting other people touch their body. Stop judging your children for natural things that happen. Stop being upset at them by things that make sense. And when you catch your child in a negative dialogue, regardless if you're angry or not, stop them right in the tracks. Do not say that about yourself. Do not give those thoughts power. I don't care how mad about you I am. I don't care about what you did. Don't ever call yourself a bad person. Don't ever say that I'm not worthy of anything. Don't ever say I always fuck things up, because that's not the truth. That's not the truth. Right now, you made a mistake. Whether that mistake was on purpose or thought out or not thought out enough, the point of the matter is that you're supposed to be learning, not blaming and reducing and reducting yourself according to how I'm feeling. Learn your lesson so we don't have to do this again. Okay? So you need to teach your children how you are behaving. However you want to behave, you need to do it yourself, model it yourself, yeah. But then you need to correct them when you see them doing the same stuff that you used to do or that your mama do, because they be over there with your mama or they be over there with your auntie or your cousin and your sister, and you know that they not doing their work. You got to stop your kids in your tracks. We don't talk like that over here. You don't have what? No, ma'am. No, sir. Who don't have? You have everything that you need. You are divinely blessed. Just because you don't have it in your hand now doesn't mean it's not coming. Speak it. Teach your children how to speak life into themselves. If they can't speak life into themselves, how can they create a life without you? How can they go out there in the universe and create what they want inside of this place, inside of this 3D reality? How are they going to do that if they don't know how to speak it into? The word is the most powerful thing that a person has in their control. The emotion behind the word, the mentality behind the emotion and the word, the spirit, with all of those three things together, create something that draws it in, that pulls it in, that's like, hey, it attracts it in. So what I'm telling you is, don't you dare allow it. Don't you dare allow it. Don't you dare let your children spiral down into these negative thought patterns, into these negative thought loops, and you didn't correct them. Because let me tell you something, we're quick to correct grammar. We're quick to correct biting. We're quick to correct fighting. We're quick to correct negative sexual experiences before they happen. We're quick to talk about somebody's, how are you dressed? We're quick to talk about how your hair looking. We're quick to talk about why you got on so much makeup. We're quick to talking about all of these toys you got. Quick to talk about the simple things, the physical things. But when you embed your child with the knowledge of the ether, they will be set for life. Life. And then stop making life so serious, okay? Yes, your children have bedtimes. Yes, there are things that have constructs. There are things that must be organized. There are curfews and such and such and such and such. There are all these other things. But stop making life so serious. Have fun. Your children are only with you for a set amount of time. Make those memories enjoyable. I know, like, think back to how your mom used to be. Think back to how your parents used to be. Did you have a fun childhood? Or did you have a childhood that when you had fun, you had to make sure that you wiped the fun off your face before you came back in the house? Or you was just going to get slapped with a whole bunch of stuff to do? You was just going to get slapped with a bunch of criticism about what you didn't do? Get slapped with extra chores because you're feeling yourself being greater? And then I also would like to say, teach your children about projection early. Teach your children about projection early. People will project just like you onto your children and make them think that they are less than, make them think that they are unworthy. They will embed these negative thoughts and these negative feelings and these negative thought loops onto you. Sometimes in a weird convoluted way to make them greater. And you are their parent. You are the mountain that is in the distance, that does not change, that is there and is always there. The mountain's position never changes, and you are the mountain that provides to the valley the rain, the clouds, the storm, the sunlight, okay? And you need to be the one to nourish all that comes in the valley. Those are your children. Do not let them walk through darkness by themselves. Don't let them go out into the world bright as the sun with no protection. And I know some of y'all watch me because y'all know that I practice. So I'm like, if you're in the spiritual community, if you're a witch, if you're whatever, teach your children early about the concepts, because your children aren't going to remember the details. Not for real. Like, it's going to take you introducing it time and time and time and time again. But introducing the concepts of certain things very early will allow your children to become greater sooner. And they'll also be able to differentiate themselves from other people. They'll be able to notice when someone's projecting their negativity and their negative constructs onto them. And then, like, for example, people pleasing. Like, before I worked on my people pleasing, I would see my daughter mimic my people pleasing. And one day I just had to stop her, because when I was working and I was like, oh, hell no, you're not about to do this shit too. And now every time that something comes up, because that thing was in her, I have to hey, you are free to feel however you need to feel. Don't ever think that you need to change your emotions because of me, because when you do that, you abandon yourself. Never, ever, ever do you abandon yourself for anyone else. I don't care who it is. It could be me or your daddy. I don't care. Why? Because you are more important than anyone else there is, because you are you. You can never abandon yourself. You can never not love yourself. You can never not give unconditional love to yourself. Regardless of who you think about or do anything else for out there, you always need to come back here in a place of abundant love, abundant compassion, abundant vulnerability, an abundant place where you can fix yourself without judging yourself. without saying that you can't love yourself because someone else needs you over there. Boundaries. Okay? Early. And you have to respect those boundaries. Like, you have to respect them. And if your child tells you no, first of all, figure out what the no is about. But there are some times where you have to respect your child's decision, because that is what you're trying to teach them, is that regardless of what I say, if you have your own sovereignty, then I know when you leave my house, you'll know how to have your own sovereignty amongst others. So be consistent, because they'll throw that thing in your face, okay? Mommy, you're projecting. Okay? So that's all I had to say for you guys today. I hope that you guys had a lovely day. Come back and swing on the porch with me, honey. And I love being with you guys. I love seeing you. I love seeing you thrive. I love you doing your shadow work, honey. Thank you so much for coming and getting these parenting tips from me. Just to let you guys know, like, this shit is not coming out my ass. I have a daughter. I have a family. I was a nanny for several years in college and a few years after I graduated. And I seen a lot of these things in households. And when I started to experience it myself, I started to realize, like, what it is that people aren't in the mindset of it because of how they grew up. They think that children should be silent and not heard. They should be seen and not heard. But if you're seen and not heard as a child, then you'll be seen and not heard as an adult. So I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.